Salutations and welcome to Shauna's Kitchen, where every day is a new day, and today we are making Triple Berry Ganache. What you're going to need to do is get together your heavy cream, your triple berry or whatever kind of berry that you would like to have, your butter, sugar, egg yolks, chocolate of choice. Today I'm going to be using both a milk chocolate and a white chocolate, so they've been divided. The recipe calls for 1 pound, so I have 8 ounces in each. And I'm going to go ahead and get started. I have 4 ounces each of the heavy cream and the Triple Berry Puree. This is actually a Little Wild Blackberry with some personal blueberry and currant, as well as 4 ounces of heavy cream. It's going to go into the saucepan to be warmed up together. But first, I'm going to go ahead and whisk. I have 3 ounces of egg yolk, which worked out to be 4 for me, and also 3 ounces of granulated sugar. I'm going to whisk up the egg, and then I'm going to go ahead and incorporate the sugar into that. I went ahead and put my egg white back into the refrigerator. I have another recipe that I'll be using that with later. So the next thing I'm going to do is, while my egg and sugar are sitting together, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get my butter as well as my heavy cream and triple berry put into here, and then I will get back to you. Alright, it's just starting to come to a simmering boil. I'm going to go ahead and stir the sugar egg mixture one more time. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to turn off the heat for a moment. And I'm going to let this sit for a couple of moments, and I'll get right back to you. Alright, so it's been about 20 seconds, and now I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually just going to drop a tiny bit. I'm going to set this down first. A tiny bit into the mixture. Just a very, very little bit. I do not want to scramble my eggs. We're just trying to temper them. And it's super important we just take our time on this step and let it get incorporated. You might have noticed at the very beginning I literally put a teaspoon or less as I was whisking continually. Just keep whisking. Once it combines each time, you can add a little bit more. Once you've had at least half of your mixture, you can make sure you wipe off the bottom. Set it back down on the cooler burner. Go ahead and mix that up the rest of the way. Now I'm going to set it on the hot burner. It's not actually hot anymore, but now we're going to go ahead and whisk one more time. Make sure everything is combined. And now we're going to add it back into the rest of that mix. Alright, it'll mix up in just a minute. Alright, now we're going to set that aside. Turn the burner back on to 3 or a medium low. We're going to bring this back up to a boil. And at that point, we're going to be separating it into our two areas. I'll get back to you when this is boiling. Getting close here. You can see where the bubbles are starting, but they're not everywhere. This is the point you want to make sure you're continually stirring. I have been this whole time. It's been about 5 minutes. It just kind of depends on how low and slow you go to get up to your boiling point. I like to take it low and slow since I have all that cream and those eggs in there. And slow and steady wins the race. So I have a measuring cup here. Everything else has been pre-measured, including this. And I want to make sure that I'm putting the same amount of my liquid in with my chocolate to make my ganache. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and put it straight into here and measure how much so that I'm getting half and half. Alright, so now you can see it's actually bubbling through the middle with a big bubble. It's not just a small one around the edge. We're almost there. We have that fruit in there. I want to make sure that that pectin is well combined with our butter base as well as everything else we have going on in there with the dairy. Alright, so now you can see when I'm stirring, it's trying to stay bubbling. That's the point when you're ready to do your pouring. So I'm going to go ahead. A cup and a half, so we're going to be adding in 3/4 cup into each one. So here we go. Now, once I get all this in, the trick is making sure that all the chocolate is covered with the hot liquid mixture. And then I'm going to turn off the camera and I'm going to let it sit for about 2 minutes. And that is going to allow the heavy cream to do the heavy work. And we don't have to worry about our chocolate breaking, because we're going to be doing it in one easy swoop. Alright. Now I did put in about an 1/8 of a teaspoon of Himalayan salt, pink Himalayan salt. And now we're just going to let it sit into each of these dishes. Be right back. Alright, it's been a couple minutes and I'm going to dip in and see what we have going on. Alright, so when you make ganache, the important thing is pick a direction and keep stirring that one way. Always in the middle and just keep going. I've never done two at once. And it's going to seem like nothing's happening at first, and you're just going to keep on doing this. Staying in the middle. Alright, I'm going to take a second and just grab this one and keep swirling around the outside. Now, the biggest reason that you're going in the same direction with your chocolate when you're making a ganache is when you start switching directions, it will make your chocolate break or separate. Sometimes going too fast can do the same thing. However, I found that when it's my berry, it's not going to separate quite as easily if I was using my liqueur, like my BSB, my brown sugar bourbon. Which there is already a video on how to make brown sugar bourbon ganache. If you'd like, check that out below. Alright, this one looks pretty good. Now we'll keep the same direction and finish this one. As you can see, I couldn't finish with both in one hand, so. And I knew that the chocolate was going to take, the darker chocolate, or excuse me, milk chocolate, was going to take a little bit more work than the white chocolate. It takes longer to melt, so I wanted to give it a second to meld into the correct phase here. Okay, looking pretty good. Now you can either, at this point, you can use your hand mixer and or pulser and just kind of mix it up and blend it smoother if you want to. I'm not actually going to do that. I'm going to just mix it a little bit longer by hand, and it will smooth out. Off and cling wrap. Now you have a couple of options at this point. One, you can be done like this and let it sit on your countertop so that it can meld it nicely and come to a temperature where it will come together. If you're in a bit more hurry, you can put it in the refrigerator. Just make sure you're pushing it down like this, or you will get a film on the top, and you do not want a film on your ganache. Now this may not look like a lot of ganache, but it actually is. Now I am going to be using the melon baller to make some round shapes with my ganache, but I'm also planning on doing some of it as a ganache layer in between my cake layer for my cake samples. So what I'm planning to do now is I want to have a variety, so this will take care of that. That's 2 different kinds of ganache to go in the cake. Alright, so because I want to pay attention to how long it takes me or how quick it sets up based on my temperature in my house, I'm going to leave these on the counter and come back and check them every 30-40 minutes and see how it's feeling when it's cooled off, and when it's spreadable, we will get back to you. Next step is you get out your cold cake that's already been divided and pre-cut. Now, if you have any areas where it didn't flatten out exactly, what you can do is, it's nice and secure. I do have that clean parchment paper down, the patty paper. Put that down first, and then I'm going to go ahead and take my chocolate, since I did that first, the milk chocolate, swirl it around. Sure it's got a nice drip. Okay, and I'm okay with that. I'm going to actually start about a 1/4 inch in, squeezing from just the top. Stop at a 1/4 inch down. And then I go back and fill the inside. Take that, set it back down. My tip up. Put it back onto my clip. And then I'm going to take my offset spatula, put my hand on the patty paper, holding on to it so it don't slide around. And then I'm going to start from one direction, whatever's most comfortable with you. I'm left-handed, so I start and I just kind of smooth it. I'm not going to go all the way completely to the edge, and you can push it back into the middle, but I want it to be level. So I'm going to kind of smooth. When you're satisfied with it, then you're going to set that back down, pointy side up, and then you're going to put that side back on with the part that had the weird part on top. That way my sandwich is the same amount of ganache, and I'm going to turn it over. Make sure I don't have any crumbles. Set it back down with the weird part on my parchment so that I have a flat side up on the top still. And this is going to go back into the refrigerator. So here we go. visual of a buttercream that has been piped. That'll go back into the fridge to set up for at least 5-10 minutes. We're going to call that good. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you had a great time. If you enjoyed this video, share, like, subscribe, comment down below. Tell me if you tried it out, what you do differently. Pass it along. Let your friends know. Have a great day. See you next time on Tashana's Kitchen.